as we sit and wait for the grand jury to reach some type of decision on this Michael Brown Ferguson situation. And politicians have been few and far between, and elected officials have certainly been out in front on some issues and have hid on others. Somebody we really haven't heard from is Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, who joins us now via phone. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor. Thanks for joining us here on KTRS.
Good morning, McGraw. Thanks for having me.
You got it. So few answers coming out of the governor's office. I know you and him don't have the best of relationships. Are you involved at all in any of this, in planning in any way?
No, McGraw. I did get a rare call from the governor's office yesterday, or from his commissioner of administration, the guy who you might say runs the Office of Administration. That's sort of the chief operating officer of state government of the executive branch. And the call was to tell me about 90 minutes before his announcement that he was declaring the state of emergency and, in pursuant to that, mobilizing the National Guard. That's about as much contact as I've had in the entire episode since the 9th of August in Ferguson.
Yeah. One of the questions, and I don't know if you can answer this, but he held a news conference last week saying that there was a unified command and that the National Guard would be called if needed, but sort of standing by. A week later, nothing's changed, and he calls up the National Guard. Do we have any idea as to what happened between last week and yesterday?
No, I don't, because, again, excuse me, I'm getting over a sinus infection. Again, McGraw, with the exception of the call I just described and one or two other calls like it, there's no communication with the other executive branch officials, the other 5 of us elected statewide by the people. I will say this, McGraw, and I said this on a national radio show interview last night and tweeted to my 7,900 followers, that I support the governor's decision, and I believe it was a failure to do this in a timely fashion in August that led us to 11 straight days and nights of trouble and rioting. And when a curfew was announced 8 days into the trouble in August, the curfew was announced by the governor from midnight to dawn instead of dusk to dawn. When you announce a midnight to dawn curfew, what you've done is told the troublemakers they have about 4 hours to do their worst. So I support this decision this time and this approach.
So let me get this right. You've not really spoken to the governor since August 9th as far as the situation in Ferguson?
Oh, you should know, and all your listeners should know, that I don't get calls from him. My calls to his office go unanswered. My emails go unanswered. My letters that are sent down the hall, we're on the same second floor of the Capitol, go unanswered. That is the way he treats people by his own choice. He is a loner, surrounded by lawyers who work for him in the AG's office, the Attorney General's office. There is no communication other than once in a blue moon. Like 3 times, 4 times in the 5, almost 6 years he and I have been in these offices.
Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder with us for a couple of more minutes. This is the last time this is not the right time to play politics. But what I find striking is it's one thing to not have a relationship with a Republican lieutenant governor and a Democratic governor, but it seems like Charlie Dooley and Governor Nixon don't talk. It seems like Mayor Slay and Governor Nixon don't talk, or at least they have dueling news conferences.
McGraw, it's known by a lot of the players in St. Louis to be a fact that I have a better relationship with Mayor Slay than does Governor Nixon. And they're in the same party. Mayor Slay and I are good friends. I can pick up the phone and communicate with him anytime, and I regularly do. Jay Nixon does not have that kind of relationship with leaders of his own party.
Peter Kinder, we saw you at Michael Brown's funeral. You were there in the front representing the state. Governor Nixon, I don't believe, was there. But as you watch this from your role as lieutenant governor, what are your thoughts? What do you think, and what do you think St. Louis is about to go through?
Yeah, I was the only statewide elected official to attend the Michael Brown funeral. I was thought we should be there. Apparently, it was published reports that the governor was asked to stay away from the funeral because he was planning as late as the day before to go. I hope and pray for peace and justice, and McGraw, peace and justice for all, as we say in the Pledge of Allegiance, not just for the Michael Brown family, and I want justice for them and for him, but I want it for Darren Wilson and his family, and I want it for the community of Ferguson and the greater St. Louis region. There is nothing to be gained by giving in to these troublemakers who have come in from outside, or some of our homegrown troublemakers, and allowing them to tear the community apart. So we have to keep the lid on, and I hope that cooler heads, and I pray that cooler heads will prevail.
Peter
Because
Kinder,
all they're going to do is destroy jobs, investment, and opportunity, and we've had enough of that.
Peter Kinder, Lieutenant Governor, many people, no matter where you sit on this, think that North County is broken and it needs to be fixed. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, and that it seems like there's a lot more agreement in that than there is disagreement.
I agree that North County is troubled. Say, how is it going to be fixed? That's a complex discussion that I can't cover in 1 minute here. But we all need to be in there. I've tried to go in and meet with African American ministers, ask God's blessing on this troubled community. I haven't gone in seeking any publicity at all, and I'm going to be doing that again. And I've sort of come down with this throat and sinus condition, but I want to go up there and condemn the idea that the KKK would come into St. Louis and do their worst. We need to be like Atlanta declared themselves in the 1960s, a city too busy to hate. And I don't want hate groups from either side. And that goes for the new Black Panther Party. It goes for the KKK. It goes for some of the other radical elements that are in there to do nothing but sow division and stir up trouble.
Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, take care of that throat. Thanks for checking in on a busy morning, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, McGraw. Thank you.
Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, quick check.